Wait, because we have some amazing men, some folks who have something more eloquent than I will ever be able to put together right now to say. But I ask that you pray for our strength, pray for our mental, because the PTSD of remembering what it felt like to have a gun, that I may not make it home tonight, tomorrow, or the next day, is a very real reality. And it's crazy that you can avoid the gang violence of your neighborhood and still be scared to walk down the street because you don't know if your skin's going to be weaponized today by somebody else's fear, by somebody else's ignorance, and by somebody trying to simply do their job. So with that being said, Kate asked me to come in to pray. That's what I've been called to do. So I'd ask you to bow your heads, close your eyes, and open your heart for a word of prayer. Most gracious Father, we come to you because for those of us who believe in you, you're the only thing keeping us safe. Most gracious Father, we ask that you order our steps in the way that we should go, because you have to have a plan for why things are the way they are. Fires burning up the West Coast, hurricanes headed to the Gulf. We're realizing, Lord, that Mother Nature is telling the world that we have messed up. And it's sad, because racism is still rampant. White supremacy is still taking lives. And we have to gather here. So Lord, we just pray for those souls who are here, for those who have left and left unable to reward. And we ask, Lord, that there's a change. The same change that was asked for the Hebrews when they were in Egypt. The same change that had Jesus, an unarmed black man who was arrested and killed. The same change that we're asking for now. So Lord, place it in our hearts to be the change that we seek, to awake a sleeping world, and to know that this is not normal. This cannot be what we get used to. We should continue to fight, continue to speak, and continue to sit in the fact that another life should not have to be lost. In your most humble name that we do pray, let us say Ashe and Amen. With that being said, I'd ask my brother Tay to come back. But don't get used to this. This isn't normal, y'all. This can't be what we're excited about coming to as something to get out of the house. This is not normal. And until we start fighting it like it's not normal, it's gonna continue to happen. So for those whose skin is not weaponized like mine, use your privilege to help protect somebody who looks like me. If you see the police pulling somebody over, do more than pull out your phones. Do more than record. Because I want to make it home.
Give it up for Q. I'd like to bring up abolitionist Miss Elizabeth Epps to the mic. Make some noise for Miss Epps, please.
My name is Elizabeth Epps. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm an abolitionist. Today is August 24th. What's August 24th? So 1 year ago today, and however he handles it, we're going to handle it without cops. However they handle it without cops. So 1 year ago today, sorry, I have a lot going on right now, right? It's a dangerous time to be black. It's a dangerous time to be outside And I've been arrested before when I was trying to help someone who was having a hard time. So there's competing tensions happening for me. But what I was gonna say is I'm Elizabeth Epps. I'm an abolitionist, and a year ago today, Aurora police killed Elijah Javon McClain. Today. So Elijah was 23. My only son is 23. And as I've said before, and as I'm hopeful remains the case, I'm so glad you don't know my son's name. So those killers were from Aurora. Their badge said Aurora. But surely you understand, right, that Aurora, Colorado, is Denver, is Oakland, is Ferguson, is Hong Kong, is Minsk, is Kenosha. You get that, right? So Aurora is Kenosha, is Denver. The brother behind me was sharing, why are we saying Jacob Blake's name instead of the baby that was killed yesterday? And I'd offer that we should be saying that name, but that's only the one you know, right? These are the ones that come to our attention. There's so many names. And I just am prayerful that you don't ever know my baby's name, my 23-year-old. So our governor said this weekend, y'all, your governor said that the people who damaged some of these buildings are, quote, criminal terrorists. That's what he called them. You know? And your mayor, your boss said online and off that he won't tolerate property destruction. So he said this on, not your turn, brother. He said this on Twitter. Your mayor said that he's not going to tolerate property destruction, and I like Twitter. So I searched the mayor's public accounts, his campaign accounts, his personal account. Turns out he said this word tolerate a lot. That's not new. He said before that he's not going to tolerate property destruction and certain criminal activity. You can guess how many times he's said online that he's not going to tolerate the murder of Black and brown children, or that he's not going to tolerate the killing of babies like Elijah in our neighboring cities. Your mayor also said, and this is just heavy, I plan on excising this one. When I saw him there, it's just very triggering. Your mayor also said that democracy depends on, quote, peaceful protest and voting. And I'm, look, y'all, shit is bad, right? If you can vote, if a candidate has earned your vote, please vote, right? If the threat of fascism manifests for you such that you want to vote for the alternative in the duopoly, by all means, please vote. Voting matters. I mean, right now, Candy Tabaka, right, who represents this town, right now, Candy Tabaka is holding it down in Denver City Council, often by herself, and she got there because we voted, right? So we recognize that voting matters, but it's also completely ahistorical to tell us, thinking folks, that voting is the means of having democracy, because we did not vote our way out of slavery, okay? We did not peacefully protest our way out of chattel slavery. For that matter, we didn't peacefully protest into getting the right to vote. So reject that verbiage and reject ostensible leaders who would tell you that they won't tolerate property destruction. But don't use the word tolerate when they talk about what's happening to Black and brown and indigenous children. How is this? How is this? Where this is what your governor said, and where this is what your mayor said, where this is the 1-year anniversary of Elijah being killed, how is this relevant? Please don't let her close to me. How is this? How is any of that relevant to Jacob Blake? Will you hold this up for me, baby? Sorry, not baby. It says justice for Jacob Blake, and there was another one I saw because I want to talk about both of these arrest killer cops. I know where your heart is, and I'm with you, but we can't start or stop at arresting. That's what I want. The other side of that sign that says defund the police. So justice for Jacob Blake, sorry for rocking, the PTSD is real. But when we talk about justice for Jacob Blake, is he alive at last? Do we know? Yes. When we talk about what justice for him looks like, it absolutely can include arresting his killer. Sure, it can. But that can't be what we're asking for. Justice for him means defunding the department that killed him. Right? So justice for him. I share this in one other space publicly. You can't see this, but there's these scars on the top of my feet. If you're close, you can see them. So those were given to me by a man named Matthew Green, who's one of the cops He did that to me 5 years ago. He's one of the cops who killed Elijah McClain. Right, but I live to tell the story of what Matthew Green did to me. Justice looks like there not being another person who's been victimized by Matthew Green, right? And the only way to do that is to defund. So yes, you can arrest and fire, but you can't backfill, right? Denver police has a wonderful, terrible habit of rehiring its own after 10 years paid sabbaticals, giving them back pay when they finally fire one of their killers. So justice can't just be getting rid of the cop, it has to be breaking down the system. We mean that in a practical way. I'm down to support local businesses and black and brown owned businesses. I'm wrapping up, I promise, baby. But it's so heavy on my heart that we can rebuild things, y'all. We can rebuild. We can repaint. I mean, I don't even think we should rush to paint the Capitol, because when the Capitol was built, it never anticipated that my black ass would be walking its halls anyway. So, like, I don't know what the rush is. But we can do that. We can and will, right? But Jake's children don't get to unsee seeing their daddy shot. And Michael Marshall and Paul Childs and Marvin Booker and Paul Castaway, these men killed by Denver, Colorado law enforcement, their families don't get a do-over. Jesse Hernandez and Alexis Mendez Perez, their families won't get to know what it's like to not have your teenager slaughtered by a state agent, whether they're on duty or off. So just understand, thank you for both sides of the sign, that when we say defund, we mean it literally. It's not a euphemism, and we're doing it in the service of abolition. Do the work, y'all. Like you, I wasn't going to come out tonight till Tay asked me to, but Tay's getting it. He's getting it. So I want you to see, hold it again for me. Just take to heart what this means when we say justice for him. What does it mean? It means working for a world where we don't keep knowing new names, and we can't just fire and rehire and transition to new departments. We have to defund. And your mayor says that not on his watch. Well, his days are limited. Okay. My call to action, my ask in parting is just this Thursday, the 27th, your governor, yes, he's my governor when he does something I like, but he's your governor right now. So, your governor has called upon us to do our part when it comes to COVID, right? To social distance, to wear our masks, but your governor has not done his part when it comes to protecting black and brown lives in cages during COVID. So on this Thursday, we're bringing it to him at the Capitol. We're going to be doing a Decarceration Day of Action all day, online and off, but specifically at noon at the Capitol. Will you join me? Yeah. And one other ask, just y'all, if my name is ever on a poster, please don't march with the cops, okay?
And I want to be able to make sure that we talk about all of, I know, Melanated Mike Night, which is going to happen directly after this. It's an open town hall for the people, by the people. And they specifically asked us to lift up Trayford from Louisiana. He was a 31-year-old black man who was murdered by the police in Lafayette, Louisiana. He was shot 11 times on the evening of August 21st, 2020. And so as we uplift Jacob, we also uplift Trayford, we also lift up Elijah, Brianna, George, and the list continues to go on. And so now I would like to bring my good friend, somebody who's consistently shown up in his legislative capacity, State Representative, soon-to-be State Senator James Coleman, just to give a couple words from the legislative side, and State Representative Leslie Harrod. Wishes she could be here, but here's both of them in one person.
What's going on, y'all? How y'all doing? I actually appreciate the authentic answer. I really want to give my time to Median Holmes, because when I asked her that question earlier, she gave me a real answer, and she's tired. So I'll just say this really quickly. We're talking about Jacob Blake, but what hits me the most is how this happened with his kids in the back seat. I don't know how many of y'all got kids. I don't know how many of y'all got black kids. I've been pulled over before by law enforcement with my kids in the car, And I've had to have that conversation with them and literally narrate what was about to happen. I don't know how many of y'all had that talk. I don't know how many of y'all got that talk to you. But I couldn't imagine what his kids must be going through. They will be forever traumatized. When folks talk about how could you feel a certain way about law enforcement, how could they feel any other way about law enforcement? There are good actors and bad actors in everything that we do. But it is going to take, if not forever, a very long time for them to be able to see law enforcement in any positive light. One of my boys live out the street from me. His name is Chris Matlock. He's a police officer. My son goes to school with his son. They play on sports teams together. My son sees him and says, that's what cops are supposed to be like. And he's a brother. He's a good dude. But for that man's 4 boys, I mean, we already got to fight the narrative that we're not in our kids' lives. And then when we are, we don't know all the situations, but when we are, that man was not a threat. Let me say something. The folks who sign up for that job, they recognize the danger. And they want to, many cases, protect and serve. But I'm gonna tell you, some folks just ain't fit for the job. Because when you get in that kind of position, if you don't know how you're supposed to act under duress, point blank, in the back, 7 shots, could have tased that man. Could have did something else to stop it. But he wasn't even a threat. And you shot him 7 times, holding on to his shirt. That wasn't even about protecting yourself, man. I mean, at some point, you gotta wake up. How many of y'all ever fired a gun? I have. When you go to the range, they make you put the protection on your ears. I mean, if that didn't wake you up while you popping off in his back, I know the adrenaline's rushing. I've never been a law enforcement officer, y'all. I've been in some situations, but I've never put myself in a position like that. But I can tell you right now, we gotta change not just the way that we passed that legislation this year, the fleeing felon, the chokeholds, all that stuff is great. But these folks are trained with hand-to-hand Krav Maga combat. Israeli, Middle East, military force tactics. Look at me, man, I ain't trying to box nobody. I ain't trying to fight nobody, but even if you were, you could have took him down with your hands. So again, we don't know what was going on with the situation. But all I know is that you cannot justify shooting somebody in the back 7 times point blank range, feeling as if they're a threat when they have nothing on them. We gotta be better. You cannot, let me say this, we can work on all the policy we want. This ain't just about police brutality. We can work on all the policy we want, but you cannot legislate love. You have to love people for who they are. You have to respect them against your own beliefs, even if you disagree with them. And we as black people know what that's about, because no matter what we do in this country, we still don't get the respect. We still don't get the love. People still see us as animals. We still 3/5 a human being. So we can do this work in the Capitol, but like Leslie Herod always says, we need y'all to show what America should look like. When you talk about making America great again, this is what it should look like. You got all kinds of people with different colors, different creeds, different backgrounds, different beliefs. We don't have to agree with each other, but we can respect each other's values and what we all believe. So what are we really asking law enforcement? Yeah, do all the things you want to them cats. But at the end of the day, they're going to still find a way to kill us. Because they killed a mob when he was just running down the street and there wasn't no cops. We getting tired of this kind of stuff. You can't get mad at people when they talk to you and you don't listen. So they start yelling like my voice went up a couple octaves. because we feel like we're not being heard.
What?
I'm supposed to be in a position of leadership to do something the way America says. Get elected, go to college, get a job, do things the right way. But in the end, it don't matter. And just because I'm good, don't mean we good. You don't get one black person to be quote unquote successful by American standards and then treat all the rest of us like crap. So let me just say this last thing, because I'm a preacher like Quincy, and I have got here all night passing around an offering plate. I'm just playing. It's COVID, now people struggling financially, but still. You know, go to church. Let me say this last thing. This is cool, y'all, and I appreciate y'all coming. I ain't trying to discourage that. We can get together all y'all want. But if we don't see change in the Capitol, if we don't see change in D.C., if we don't see change in the city, if we don't see change in the community, if we don't just see change in ourselves, you cannot outsource self-improvement. You have to do that yourself. So let's start tonight, but let's keep this up and let's see some actual change happen. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you, Representative Coleman. Want to continue to thank y'all for standing with us. First, I really want to thank community because we put out a call this morning and said, hey, show up, and you showed up. But I also want to just say something to you all, is because we explicitly told police officers this is not your ground right now.
That's right.
Stay away, because right now your presence escalates situations. We said we don't need you to block off streets. We don't need you to stay down the block and turn on your lights. We got this. That they were going to counter-protest us, but community showed up and knew how to actually de-escalate individuals instead of escalating them even more. That's what we do. We don't need to rely on police officers to come stand in the line, to come tell people, hey, this ain't your movement right now. This ain't your space. So hear us loud and clearly. We know we have the resources in our communities to take care of ourselves. I didn't have to call anybody but community, and y'all showed up, and y'all even stood and made sure not only I was protected, but when Elizabeth was speaking, y'all made sure she still had a voice. So thank you for that. And so now I want to bring up two powerful black women that call themselves actionists, which they are. They said, we're done with the activist stuff. We are actionists. They went to Louisville, Kentucky, to Ground Zero, where Breonna Taylor's family and loved ones were meeting. They brought them back out here. And yesterday, we celebrated the life of Elijah McClain with Hearing Music and had the largest Soul Train line in Denver history. And that was led by two powerful black women. So both Shanika and Candace, please come on up, and we just want to show y'all some love and hear from y'all.
Trayford Polarin, say his name. Trayford Polarin, say his name. Trayford Polarin. Now I'm from the South, so excuse me if I got the last name wrong, but again, Jacob Blake, say his name. Jacob Blake. Jacob Blake, say his name. Jacob Blake. At the age of 4 years old, my father was pulled over by the Upson County Police Department in Thomaston, Georgia. That was the first time I had encountered an officer pointing a gun in my face. That is the first time I encountered a police officer pointing his gun in my face at the age of 4 years old. My father was a known person to have run-ins, as they called Jacob Blake, with the police. They came to the car aggressive. They expected to kill him. They saw me in the back seat. I said, please don't kill my daddy. My 4-year-old daughter is in the car with my oldest daughter. I want you to scream loud as you can so that she knows that she ain't been sitting in that car for some bullshit. I am angry, and I don't never curse. So you know I'm pissed. Up with the people. Up with the people. Down with the police. Down with the police. Up with the people. Up with the people. Down with the police. Down with the police. At the age of 4, I knew I couldn't trust the police. I am 39 years old, and I have never called 911 because I can't. I was in an auto accident. I settled my claim with this woman right there because I knew I was at fault, because you could not dial 911. I want to make it fucking home. I'm being honest. I'm being raw, and I'm telling you the truth. When my son was born, Trayvon Martin had just been murdered. I didn't know what to do. When I birthed my daughter, I didn't know what to do. When I birthed my last daughter, and definitely the last one coming from here, I still don't know what to do. Jim Crow didn't die. It ain't the new Jim Crow. This is the same shit that's been going on, and it's still continuing. We ain't 3/5 of a person because they ain't restored our humanity. They ain't made us human. We are still not recognized as human beings on this soil. How can you rectify and abolish some shit that you ain't recognized as human? But you know what we've done? We've domesticated animals. I'm tired. I am tired. It's 1,046 miles to Wisconsin. It's 1,046 miles. I GPS'd it when I heard. My husband came home. He said, "Did you hear?" My grandmother, who I call a light Republican, said, "Shanika, get me one of them Black Lives Matter signs. Okay, send me one to Latonia, Georgia today." She said it was a flag. I said, "A flag? You talking about a garden flag?" She said, "No. Whatever you got in your yard, send it down here." Devon Bailey. Colorado, we got our own shit. Devon Bailey shot how many times in the back? 7 times. Thank you, Lauren. 7 times. So what y'all gonna do? Defund, defund, defund.
I think 7 is not a fucking lucky number right now, because I'm not feeling really fortunate about the number 7, that Devon Bailey shot 7 times in the back. Here we are again. 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 Are you fucking tired? I don't feel like you are. Because there's like fucking 15 of us that show up everywhere, and 5 of you motherfuckers show up, and then I get a message, "Candace, you're inspiring." Fuck you, I'm not here to inspire your ass. I'm so beyond inspiration, I don't want a fucking hand clap or a snap. I'm beyond that. When I say I am an actionist, what that means is you should get your ass up and move. American, okay? Let's talk about America for a minute. Let's talk about America. America, this motherfucker was taken from my people, built by my people, and you are murdering all of my people.
All of them.
What else do you want? What else can we give you?
They got the cotton, they got their country. I'm trying to get back to cannabis.
Oh,
Give us the
cannabis, fuck cannabis.
Give us the
I want to
word back.
fucking live. Fuck a fucking blunt.
Give us
You
the-
motherfuckers are so asleep at the wheel. You rather smoke a blunt. They live.
They do.
I am so sorry that I'm cursing.
They
Mother.
do.
Where y'all at? Because I don't want to keep marching. I don't want to keep yelling on a mic. I want you to get on the caravan and cross this nation because we are the change we seek.
All right.
Louisville came here this weekend to celebrate with us the capacity and the privilege for us to get up every day and fight because our lives depend on it. We went to Louisville because we had the privilege to be able to do as such. When they came here, they said, "It's so pretty here. The streets are so clean. Your white people are really nice. Your marijuana's great too." You know what they didn't say though? Your police are killing y'all the same way they are killing us, and we have felt like we are in some special place. No, you are not. This is not in a singular city. This is our nation, and it will take our nation to stand up. Not a crowd of 500 people, but our nation. And that means everyone here has a requirement to grab 10 hands. We have to do this work now. The police are murdering us. The OJs are the middle-class white people who think I'm not black, I'm just OJ. Well, baby, wake the fuck up, because you gonna go to jail too. Well, maybe it's memorabilia, because you got a fucking noose in your backyard your granddaddy used. I don't know. But if you are not willing to get off your ass, this will be the condition of our lives. We are at a place in history that requires that every human being gets up. This is not the time to lay down. This is not the time to shoot every barking dog. We must come together and take back a nation that we built because our future depends on it. The bickering must stop. Stop dividing. I don't care what sexual organ you were born with. I don't care who you have sex with. I don't care. I care that a cop doesn't give a fuck about any of that and blows your brains out. I have 4 children, and I will push until the day I die to change their future. And that means we must come against everything that is killing us, including division. Stop dividing and multiply.
All right.
Multiply. If you continue to divide, the nucleus is gone. The nucleus of revolution is love. You cannot spell the word without it.
All right.
Now go home and you look at the person that you love the most and think about them getting shot in the back in front of you 7 times in your vehicle. Tell me if you sleep the same ever again.
All right. Give it up for Candace and Shanika. We have 3 more individuals, and then we're going to transition to Melanated Mic Night, which is an open mic forum for all melanated folk. I want to bring up Mr. Hashim Coates, a community leader and activist. And before I do that, I just want us to be able to recognize that windows can be replaced. A black life cannot. There's not enough money in the world. You can put up a new window at the city and county building, but you can't bring back Elijah McClain. You can't bring back Breonna Taylor. You can't bring back, you can't bring back George Floyd. And I am so glad Jacob is going to live to tell the story, because that is a voice we need everybody to be hearing. And now I want to bring up community leader, Ms. Hashim Coates.
I just want to set something straight before I begin. I'm not a community leader. I'm just the black man that chooses to use his voice, that's sick and tired of this shit. If I inspire you, so be it. But I'm not here to inspire you to come to another one of these events. I'm not here to inspire you to wear a safety pin. I'm not here to inspire you to change your social media status for just the platitudes that go on. I want you to actively do change. I want you to actively do work. Whether that's in the voting polls, whether that's causing congestion and disrupting everybody's life on their day-to-day routine, I need you all to do that. Because when I look at these situations, this is nothing new. And when we hear now, I'm not my aunt's, my grandparents' generation, well, we are. They killed them the same way that they're killing us. It's happened since before 1619. But the thing about that is, when 1619, when this shit started to go down, they had more value for our lives because we were property. As soon as they free us, all of a sudden, the bottom falls out of it. So, I didn't want to be here tonight, like many others said. I didn't want to be here tonight because I'm tired. I don't know what else to say. I don't know why you all showed up. I don't know what you expect. I don't know what you want to hear that you already haven't heard before. Stop fucking killing us. But if you want something new, I offer you this. Treat police the same way that they treat black people. Let's try something new. Because we've tried everything else. We've tried that plantation Christianity, where we turned the other cheek and forgave our neighbor. But right now, I need some of that Old Testament God to show up. I need that God to show up where he says he will make your enemies your footstool. That's what I need. Because we've tried everything else, and yet Jesus got sick of it. He flipped over tables and beat the hell out of people in his daddy's temple. Who are we not to defend our lives? Who are we not to place our own value on our lives? There's so much for me to say here that might ruffle some feathers. But oh well, if the feathers aren't ruffled, I say snatch them out of them alive. Treat them the same way that they have treated us. I don't know what else to tell you. I don't know what else to say. We have leadership that reflects my melanin, but the actions imitate those of the overseers. The action imitates those who believe that if I can emulate my oppressor, I too will be delivered. And that's not the case. So I need you all to do more than just show up here. I need you all to raise holy hell with your elected officials. They are here for you. They are on your dime. They're on our dime. They are responsible to us. So with that being said, I hope that everyone gets home safely. I hope that everyone can inspire 5 more people to be like them that are willing to make change. I'm tired of being here for this. I want to be at one of these celebrations where there's actually a conviction of one of these murderers. Not a conviction like they normally get, but I want the courts to treat the police the same way that they treat black people. So, we must, as it's been said before, defund the police. And if you have an issue with the wording defund the police, I implore you to go back to your grammar school textbooks and get a good definition of that. We've defunded education, and we see where that's got us. We defund healthcare, and we see where that's got us. We defund everything except for this paramilitary organization, and I don't get that, right? And I think some of the problem is with our elected officials is that they are really ignorant in the history of how the police department was created. That's it. And I know this to be true because you can call them out on it, and they can't give you a good answer. You know, if you say, oh, that it came from slave catchers, they'll push back until you show them some words, then cognitive dissonance will treat it. But we understand that the police are a problem. But we must show that in our actions. If a cop wants to quit their job, goodbye. Goodbye. It makes no sense for a lifeguard to say, I'll be a lifeguard and I'll rescue bodies from the ocean, but I don't want to get wet. If the cop is too afraid to do their job, goodbye. Fire them all for dereliction of duty. Defund the police so that you can also kill the tie that the police unions have over your elected officials. Again, please do not be so simplistic that you get lost in the words of defund the police. Even though I have a good friend here that's like, yeah, destroy them motherfuckers, right? Like, so I dig it and I respect it. But until then, there are incremental steps, or I shouldn't say incremental, there are, yeah, not incrementalism, but there are pragmatic steps that we can do. The police should automatically be demilitarized. There is no way in hell that our local police department needs to have military-type weapons. If they cannot cut it in the armed forces, oh well, too bad for them. That is a waste of tax dollars because we pay to buy this machine through our federal funds, and we also use our local funds to then buy this equipment from our federal government. If we want to end corruption, you must act strategically with your vote as one way. There are 1,500 other things that you must do along with that vote. So I end tonight because it's getting dark and I want people to get home safely because I understand how the enemy operates.
And for our last two individuals, and then for everybody that is staying for Melanated Mic Night, it's going to take place under the gazebo in the park, so everybody can sit down and focus on the center. That's where that'll take place after our last two speakers, and I close you out. But real quick, I would like for us to take a moment of silence for all of the young people who have been lost this summer. We have in DPS, we've had 30 students have died this year. And over half of those students have died via gun violence. And so we need to know each and every one of their names. And actually one of them, we're working on renaming the South High School Stadium after, because he was an exemplar student. And we're doing this for every student and family that comes to us and saying, how can we remember your child and tell their story and remember their legacy? Not just so that you see a news article of them on the news. And so with that, I'm gonna ask everybody, before we bring up our two last speakers, to put your right fist in the air. We're gonna take a moment of silence for our young people that we've lost in Denver this year. Thank you. I'm gonna bring up both Joy, she's a restorative practice coordinator here at McAuliffe Manual Middle School, and Dr. April Alexander from Black Lives Matter 5280. Let me be very clear. The last two times we've had black women on this mic, people took the audacity to speak over them. So when black women take this mic, shut up.
I'll be pretty short tonight. You know, 24 hours ago we were in Montello. Candace and Shanika put on this wonderful event. One of the things that stood out to me in those last few moments was a chant. Yep, got it. Was the chant of no more names. I walked to my car that evening just thinking about that. What would this world look like if we didn't have to continue saying names? Being there with the communities of Louisville, Denver, Aurora, what would it look like if we would stop saying these names? I pondered that on the way home of what would that look like for us not to be out here, for black women to not still be protecting you day after day after day and fighting for you. Then just a few hours later, we saw the loss of Jacob. Jacob being shot in front of his children and now still fighting for us in these hours that we're standing here. So another name. I don't have much to say, and I told Tay that I'm tired as well, and I'm out of words. Because we've been here over and over again. I saw a person in the back with Black Trans Lives Matter, that again, this year we're going to see a record loss of Black trans women death in the United States. Black women need to be centered like Breonna Taylor, because Black women are killed by police at 4 times the rate of white women. Murders by police are the 6th leading cause of death in the United States. So 1 in 1,000 Black men will die. So when I heard the chant, "No more names," I was hopeful, but I knew that wasn't realistic. That we're here once again, 24 hours later, honoring someone else. So again, we had so many people speak about next steps, but what are we truly going to do in these next few moments? Are you all going to keep showing up? We've given you so many different ideas over the last few centuries, but over the last few months of what to do in this moment. Stand up with us. We're losing people too fast, and it's going to be someone, again, in our community. So that 1 in 1,000 isn't going to be someone who's here today. That's my biggest fear. Keep showing up, keep doing the actions, hold these legislators accountable who are denying that this is a problem in our faces in the last week, and let's get them out.
Hello, my name is Joy Jackson. I am originally from Los Angeles, California. I grew up in South Central, then relocated to probably one of the most racist districts in California, and I made it out. But I can't say the same for my friend Brett, who was shot on his way home from basketball practice my sophomore year in college. Brett, because his mom doesn't like that. But like everyone here has said today, I'm tired. I've been in education since I was 18 years old, and I've had kids kick me, hit me, call me a bitch, fuck you, and I've never resorted to violence. I've never hit a kid for saying I don't want to listen to you, for walking away. That's fucking ridiculous. Excuse me, ma'am, I'm so sorry. She looked like my grandmama too. But Jacob Blake was shot 7 times in the back, and I can't imagine the fear that his kids felt. Today was the first day of school, and he should have been on there fucking up on Zoom like all of us were today. Like, I have been protesting since I was 16, starting for LGBTQ rights, and then I started protesting for Mike Brown. For the past 7 years of coming and going and coming and saying the chants and walking up and down the streets and getting rubber bullets shot at me and having my vision blurred from tear gas and being detained 3 different times. What does it have to take for America to wake up? What do we have to do? And I'm so happy that there are people here older than me and wiser than me that can give us those steps, those pragmatic steps that he said, very good word. And all I have to say is I'm fucking tired. I am afraid to have children because I never want to have the conversation that I had with my nephew about what to do if a cop comes up to you or if a white man comes up to you. I have to tell them, do not go to school in the South because there are sundown towns there. Still, there's streets you can't go down. And so until my existence as a Black queer woman is respected, I'm still gonna be shouting and screaming. No matter how many fucking attacks that I have to do, I will raise up my Black men, my Black brothers, and Black non-binary friends and family. This is fucking ridiculous. It's 20 goddamn 20, and we need to make some changes. Thank you.
Thank you, both Joy and Nate and Dr. Alexander. I also want to uplift Tony McDade, another black person who we have lost in the struggle, because Black Lives Matter often gets categorized as a movement for black men, but it was actually founded by black women, black queer women. And Black Lives Matter is not about black men, it's about black women, black non-binary folks, black LGBTQIA+ folks. It's about just saying we want to be treated like a human. That's it. You have not heard anybody up here ask for anything special. We didn't ask for special treatment in any of these speakers that you heard. We simply said, treat us like a damn human. Animals, dogs. We pass laws faster for dogs locked up in a car than we do about kids in cages and black and brown folks in cages. I don't know, maybe we should start telling folks like black folks have dogs too. Like, I don't know what will get your attention. Come on. But we gotta stop gathering like this. The reason why I brought us all here today is because I wanted you to hear these voices of people that are telling you that they're tired of seeing you like this. The next time I want to see you is what Hashim said, that we're celebrating a conviction and they're thrown in jail for the rest of their life. So as we depart here today, I know some will go home and some will go over to Melanated Mike Night. I brought you to this school because it has historic meaning in this community. This community, 5 Points, was Harlem of the West. This school was the first school in the Denver public schools to educate women and black Americans. And so my ask for you tonight is I just want you to help me keep this school picked up. If you see a water bottle, you see some trash, just put it in the trash on your way out, because this building has to remain in our community, because the stories, some good people came out of this school, others did not. Anyways, we need to continue. It was Mayor Michael Hancock that came out this building. Anyways, and so I need us to keep this historic building clean, and I need you just, if you see trash on your way out, pick it up. And remember, this is how community organized. Not a single cop in sight and nothing happened. We had counter protesters and we stood the line. So the story, because I seen all of my friends in the media, when they see confrontation, they say, oh, let me run over here. I need the story to be about the black women that we heard tonight, about the black individuals that we heard tonight, the black LGBTQIA+ voices that we heard tonight, not about counter-protesting. You can tweet that out, but the main story needs to be about the message you heard here today. I'm tired of looking on Facebook and Twitter and these misleading hashtags and misleading names and things that you're putting out there. This was centered on black folks so you could hear the struggle that's coming from our voices, and so that we don't have to have another Jacob Blake. But I am so glad Jacob is living to tell his story. And so with that, I'm gonna bring back up my hero, my shero, Miss Elizabeth Epps.
Couple things as we close out. Some of y'all know how we're going to close out. We wait to see how the vibe is and see folks are receptive and ready. Just to plant a seed, or you've heard this before, but just a reminder, I feel like I want to whisper this, but let you in on a secret. You know what's even better than arresting killer cops is no cops. Even better than life in prison, y'all, is no prison, okay? That's what we're working for. That's what we're working for. Have you thanked the black queer woman today? If you haven't, make sure you do. Thank you, baby. Thank you to the women who gave us Black Lives Matter. Thank you to the black abolitionists who birthed and gave us so many of the chants and the words that we know. As often when we invite folks into space to end with this chant, we invite you to say it with me if you know it, and if not, then you repeat after me. So we do this 3 times. I've seen a couple of brown and black women that I've seen before, and I'm never going to call on you without your permission, but just know that I'm expecting you to step up and lead this in future times when we're coming together, whether it's to mourn or to celebrate or to grieve or to vote or to march. We're going to keep coming together. So we're going to say this chant 3 times, and I ask you to thank black queer women and black abolitionists because Assata Shakur gave us this. And we say it 3 times through. We say it 3 times through. I love y'all. I love y'all. I love y'all. The first time we say it in our speaking voice because the first time we say it to ourselves, we're saying it to our spirit, to our soul. Second time we say it a little louder because we're saying it for our neighbors who are in their homes and whose land this is and who are in their communities. And the third time we shout it to the rafters because we're talking to our brothers and our sisters and our siblings who are in these cages, who are in these racist systems of confinement. We're going to shout it at the top of our lungs because we need them to hear us and know that we're working to bring them home. You understand? Okay. So repeat after me or say it with me if you know it. It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to win.
It is our duty to win.
We must love each other.
We must love each other.
And support each other.
And support each other.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to win.
It is our duty to win.
We must love each other.
We must love each other.
And support each other.
And support each other.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to win.
It is our duty to win.
We must love each other.
We must love each other.
Support each other.
And support each other.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
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 Over there in the gazebo is going to be Melanated Mic Night, Open Mic Forum. You guys can head over there. Thank you guys for joining us tonight.
All's my life I has to fight, nigga. All's my life hard times like that, bad trips like that. Nazareth, I'm fucked up, you fucked up, but if God got us, then we gon' be alright. Nigga, we gon' be alright. Nigga, we gon' be alright.
Good, we're keeping it down, you know? Yeah. Holding it down. How you doing today, dear? Not much. Just enjoying a good afternoon.
Hey, you get a new setup?
I got gifted this.
Are you gonna start that's a clean photo image. I don't know if my shit's bad or what, but every time a lot of the ones I get from you, I'll have like blocky stuff sometimes.
I know, and it's disgusting. But we're working on it.
Just sound like Skyline on the stop.
No, I think it's all good.
Guy on the stop sign. One leaving on the stop sign.
How you doing, man? You got Russian.
I think if we stand right, if you move, if he knows we're seeing. Yeah, no, I'm making it so he knows.
Has he been here the whole time?
No, the guy. I've seen him in the last like 10 minutes. Yeah. I was walking back to my car. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Don't engage. But the timing. Yeah. I'm not. Let me.
Say about this pass. He says, "Let's go, anti-fascist." And you got a picture of a girl on it. Looks great, like wearing the same gown. Right on.
I gas your mask. He's fucking the police, one mask at a time.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm going to care about that.
I got it. It was spread the word, didn't people start knowing about it? Yeah, Aurora Police Department and the Denver Police Department are going through a model practice.
I'm not leaning on the stop sign there. I don't know, he's got everybody feel a little off.
Talk to him.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. I'll go say hello. Not a problem. Got some
Just put it on the sidewalk for now.
Yeah, but I think everything's safe and good tonight, you know, and I really like the way that we managed to do that. So, I think that's good. We're going to have some lights. There's there's some food over in the back. We're looking for some plastic and stuff. And then, and you got another table in the car. But I think we're gonna keep up a security presence for the night. Just keep everybody. You know, and it's funny because there's a video I'm gonna have to put down with y'all. Probably good. No, so listen. There was one day when a guy, an auditor, a YouTuber, more class and experience than myself. I was trying to be not pretentious but honest. Somebody I respect. Okay? We had I tried. The fucking cops left that on the truck. Did you see the video? And they're like, just to see. No, I'm a country boy, really. Hey, I love your mask. It's beautiful. I hope you profile it. And you tell people that they can get theirs at Whittier. No. These masks are sold at Whittier. Oh, okay. Yeah, and they're we're growing, you know what I mean? So we're trying. We got some mask made, so. But there's a no presser tomorrow. Did you hear about it? No press event. Okay. That's good. But I think not too much. No. Off the camera.
Look at my home number. With my home cell number. Oh, is it? Yeah, it wasn't. I haven't had a home number since way before I met you. So now it's been assigned to somebody else. What are you doing now? Go to Whittier's Pub. Right here. Yeah, we can walk there. Yeah. I would love to, but what's up with Loma selling masks and not wearing masks? I'm just saying. Okay, that's not an accident. Okay, I got to pick my number, and you know I picked the 666. That'll help you. Yeah, that will. Oh, cool, man. No, good reason. Shit. I'm part of that. This week doesn't work next week. Yeah, I'm going to get out of town and go get it. Yeah, I was going to say, let's get one of the that's why I asked him. Please. Well, no, I've been on a break, but this will be my 5th trip this summer, so that doesn't stop. All right. What do we like? Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays? What do we like? Yeah, well, we're talking beer, so typically that's not a morning activity. I'm not saying it's never a morning activity. Mimosas? I had bourbon at a buddy's house the other day. It was nice. They have that wine on top. No, it's following me.
It is.
Tuesday the 1st. That's at 11 a.m. 6?
Where do you want to go?
That's super funny. I was going to say, super funny. It's a good thing when you no, I like it. I like it. Where?
Okay, they moved the food table. Where did they move the food table to? I'm running this, man. All of us, right?
But yeah, so I think the watch would be a good thing, but I think that there needs to be more pressure. I gotta press charge on the shit that I get to eat. So what is the post saying on the pedophile that I hold a belong to a 14-year-old girl's head and make up a kid, or 6 to 8 high schoolers and take them to school. And then he posted my address.
You might be alone.
So I'm like, yeah, I know what this is a call for. I might not be able to carry concealed. But I don't live alone, yeah. The roommate named Ross. So I have an appointment tomorrow to look at my
Not, I haven't been on. Okay.
And even before I got started, it's like
So my message to those people is, I don't want to hear anything you have to say until you can give me a date, a time, and a location of your fucking rally. If you can't tell me where you're gathering and giving me a platform, I don't want to hear from you. I'm going to follow Tay until I can't anymore. Because he shows up. But people keep pushing back. And I'll tell you what, you might think you have a voice, and you might think that, you know, you put yourself in this place of threatening Tay and all of a sudden you have attention. You need to be careful because there's a lot more of us than there are of you. And for the people that want to be counter protests and all of that, I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to keep showing up and I'm not going to stop fighting. And I dare you to stand in my way. I will meet you there. I dare you to stand in my way because I will meet you there. And I can assure you that I'm going to be the one that walks over you because I will not stop. I will not stop for my children. I will not stop for your children. I will not stop for my legacy and my lineage. And so everyone that is here that can't relate, straight up just white people, you can't relate to everything that's going on, but you show up. That's pretty dope that you show up, and you should continue to show up. But for me, I take this with me. When I get in my car and I drive home, heaven forbid I get pulled over, I take this with me. You go home and it's a comfortable drive for you. Those thoughts can stop. You can put a pause on those thoughts. I can't. My children can't. The people that look like me can't. So when you show up, I think that's dope, but that is not enough. And unless you are tired, unless you literally are physically, emotionally, mentally drained, you haven't done enough. And when you get to that point, you better hit the reset button because you still have work to do. So when I tell you I will stand shoulder to shoulder with you, I absolutely will, and I will applaud you when you show up. But I tell you what, you cannot. This is not a trend. This is a transformation. And you've got to be here for the whole thing. And if you go back and you start putting this down, you put this back in a box, you become part of the problem again. So you have to really take the time to think about that. And I've carried a sign since the summer that says the end of white privilege is not the start of white oppression. It's the birth of equality. Yes. So as the white folks that are here, the last question I'll leave with you is, are you willing to let go of your white privilege for the sake of equality? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Torrent. Yeah, all right. That's my dog, yeah. Y'all please welcome this brother over here.
Solid. Can everybody hear me? Yep. Solid. So I have a little speech at the beginning, and I have like a little poetry joint at the end. But I'm a high school teacher. Today is my first day, so I definitely got to get back and grade. Thank you. AP English, man, that's my jam. You feel me? Y'all wanna? Matter of fact, don't get me started. My bad. See, AP English, I just get super excited about it. Yeah, it's very difficult being a black educator. Because I'm black and Puerto Rican and Irish, so like this matters to this context. You feel me? Way by, you dig what I'm saying? You know, through Sabe. All right, back to what I was saying. So for me, I'm in a space where it's my duty, right, to empower black and brown folks, right, to empower them, but also, right, to mitigate the harm that white students create. It's very difficult. It's very difficult because that's something that my ancestors did, right? My ancestors who were women, who were mammies, right? Who were helping out little white babies to try to mitigate their harm on the world. I think that's a very, very delicate line to walk, and that's something I often think about. I was a TA my last semester of college, so that's something I often thought about, like, how can I equally love black and brown folks, but also love the white privileged students? It's hard, man. It's hard. But to move on from that, what happened in Wisconsin was very, very devastating to me. It honestly reminded me of Philando Castile when he got murdered in front of his daughter and his fiance. Like that hit me bad. That hit me really, really bad. I actually conducted research on that, racial battle fatigue, and how that affects black students in historically white colleges and universities. You probably know them as PWIs, but historically white campuses and universities. Because his daughter was in the back, right? He got shot. She jumped out the car. Like, she got out of the car when she saw her dad get killed. And his fiance was saying, "Like, don't hurt her, don't kill her." She didn't know what's going on, right? I think she was probably 4 or 5. I would imagine when she gets to my age, I'm 26, right? It's gonna hit her. I don't know how. I don't know what the destruction might be, right? I don't know what vices she might be using, but I can imagine it's going to be something extremely devastating. My dad was in jail majority of my life, right? And I'm realizing now, like, there's pieces of me that are harming other people, right? They're always saying hurt people. Pieces of me are harming other people because there are conversations me and my father have never had, and he's still here, but he was in prison, right? There's certain mannerisms he had from that prison life that has affected me. So I can only imagine what she's gonna go through. I can only imagine what the man's kids are gonna go through in Wisconsin. And that is devastating because it not only affects the families, it affects all of us, right? It affects all of us in different ways, right? When we say police brutality harms the black community, it also harms the white community as well, right? Like, in order to kill somebody, in order to harm somebody, that honestly makes you a monster, right? Like, cause you're hurting us. Like, we get hurt, trust me, we get hurt, so it's physical. You can see what's happening to us. But being in college, right, people study race, people study gender, people study sexuality, but what they fail to study is whiteness, the white psychology, right, of what brutalizing black and brown bodies does to white people. That's a real thing. I don't know. Right, I'm only Irish. I'm not even like real white. I'm like Irish, right? So I'm like black white technically. But yeah, like that's a real thing. And so for the white folks out there, like y'all have to like internalize when we're at rallies, mobilizations, things of those nature. Like I appreciate the claps. It's cool, you feel me? But I read a lot of James Baldwin. I read a lot of Du Bois. So I understand racism does not stem from ignorance. Trust me, right? It is not at all. Thomas Jefferson, one of the smartest people, Thomas Jefferson went to Africa. He knew exactly what Africa looks like, right? Racism stems from, racism stems from self-interest, right? And somebody mentioned Mayor Hancock. Somebody mentioned him? So when we talk about self-interest, understand, right, that identity politics is cool, right? Until we have to start measuring integrity. That's a whole other conversation. So when you have a man, right, who's not just a man, but who's a black man, and not only a black man, but a black man who grew up in a specific type of way, right? Well, I would imagine he's eating Tostino pizza rolls and ramen noodles for dinner, right? So grew up in a particular type of way, when he is more angry about establishments getting a broken window than black and brown bodies being murdered, than mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters crying over their siblings, over their sons, over their daughters being brutalized, that does not make sense and it does not sit well with me, right? But you'll still find people who hold him up because he has blackness, right? Let me be the first to tell you, like, it's cool to be black, but it's even cooler to have integrity intact with that, right? It's even cooler, right? Same thing for white folks. It's cool to have the Black Lives Matter, what do y'all got? Y'all got the flag, the thank you, the sign in front of the house. That's cool, but your kids still go to private school. I mean, y'all gave me the mic. Y'all gave me the mic. So I'm just saying, like, that's a real thing. So when you have particularly white folks who say Black Lives Matter, I need you to just understand, how does that show up in your life? Even for black people, right? I'm a big advocate for all Black Lives Matter. Right? As a black cisgender male, I have to sit there and take these hits of black men, it's not time for, like, all those talks about black men, I understand, because black men, we have a capacity of not being reflective, right? To where, like, patriarchy doesn't allow men to be reflective of how they harm people, how they harm themselves, right? So I understand the space that we hold. But for black people, we also have to identify, what does Black Lives Matter actually mean? Right? What does all Black Lives Matter actually mean? Does it mean just saying names? Or does it mean we address the colorism in the community? Does it mean, right? Does it mean that we turn a blind eye, right, to possibly rap music, to possibly to movies, right, that objectify women and men and little children, right? Like, we have to be able to pay attention, right? Do we objectify ourselves? Do we look at our darker complexion brothers and sisters in a different way than our light-skinned brothers and sisters? Like, that's a real thing. And so we have to identify, what does Black Lives Matter actually mean to us? Does it mean we shop at the mom and pop stores over Walmart? Does it mean we still use Amazon? Like, those are real things we have to identify within ourselves. And so when we're looking at people like Tony McDade, when we're looking at people like Nina Pop, when we're looking at people like Michael Brown, right? When we're looking at people like Tamir Rice, for me, it doesn't matter. The conversation should never be, right? They were innocent, and they should not have. You should not murder anybody, like, point blank. Period. That should just never happen, innocent are guilty. Like innocent are guilty. You should not murder anybody. Like that just should never happen, right? And so what happened in Wisconsin, it could easily happen here, right? And I would imagine Tay is very familiar with the STAR program, right? That program is gonna make sure what happened in Wisconsin does not happen here. Because the STAR program is not police officers going to domestic disputes, right? Give y'all a fact. 90% of phone calls to the police department, the Denver Police Department, 90% of it is domestic disputes. 10% is violent crime. So when we talk about the budget, right? Why do police make so much money, right? When their job is to prevent crime, but they don't prevent crime. They're always on the back end of crime. So they're technically not even doing their job. So when we say defund police and reallocate to education, to healthcare, etc., all we're trying to do is actually make police, they're trying to make their job a little bit easier. Honestly, when they really think about it, we're trying to make their job a little bit easier and have them do actually what they're supposed to do, right? Which is deter, which is to stop violent crime, which is not a big thing in the communities, right? So I want us to be able to think about those things is when all these situations are going on in different communities, how does it show up in Denver, right? Because we're not unique. We go through what a lot of other people go through, even though we deal with gentrification at higher rates than other cities, right? It shows up differently here, but we have opportunities, we have resources here. I'm part of the anti-racist club. I don't know if you're familiar with it. You might be, you might not be. Good looks. But we've been working with some policymakers. I can't get no names or nothing like that, but we've been working with some policy members trying to put something on the ballot, and Mayor Hancock tried to criticize it and try to say it wasn't good enough, we didn't do our due diligence, etc. No, we did our due diligence. We did the exact same thing Minnesota did. The exact same thing Minnesota did, right? But when you have policy, when you have city council members who wear Black Lives Matter on a face mask, who say Black Lives Matter, when you put the pressure, when you say, okay, walk it how you talk it, oh, well, we need time. We need time. We just need time. We need time, right? So it's a matter of, you gotta protest, you have to rally. You have to show up to city council members. You have to vote. You have to do whatever is necessary for yourself. Because James Baldwin never went to protests or mobilizations, and that's something I always try to tell people. His thing was, I'm not with beating my feet. I can't do that, but I can write. I can tell y'all stories. And so everybody shows up differently in all protests. And so I want everybody to know that you don't have to show up all the time. And if you don't show up, it doesn't mean you're less. It doesn't mean you do not care. It means you might be the person who's telling stories, right? Or you might be the person, I don't know if y'all familiar with Freedom Summer, right? They had to get fed. People had to feed them. They weren't allowed in every restaurant. There were people making the meals. You might be the person who come out here and make people sandwiches with the oranges. Like that might be your role. Or you might be the person who offers somebody resources. Everybody's role is different. We show up differently. So I want us all to know that. Before I get to the poetry, the poetry piece is that we are all Nina Pop. We are all Philando, right? We are all these people who have been murdered, Sandra Bland, etc. We are all these people who've been murdered. We should not be exceptional to stay alive. We should not have to be perfect. We should not have to be respectable to stay alive. We should be able to be in the worst conditions possible and still be cared for. To still be cared for. So when we talk about hands up, don't shoot, but what about if your hands is in your pocket? Like that's a real thing too. So it should just be don't shoot, right? It should always be all black lives matter, and we're gonna be very specific when we say it. And so when as black people too, when we say brown lives matter too, make sure we go into these detention centers, make sure we educating ourselves on Porky Gonzalez. Like make sure we educating ourselves. It's real, because even for me, like being Puerto Rican is very difficult to match the knowledge I have in the black community, in the Puerto Rican community, in the Spanish community, etc. Like it's very difficult, but I make sure I have friends around me who can educate me. And it's okay to make mistakes. That's what knowledge is about, right? If you never make mistakes, that means you think you're perfect. And if you make mistakes, that means you're trying. So I implore everybody to try, and I'll end it with this. I talk a lot. I told Daria I would not, and I very much apologize. But I ended with this. I wrote this poem. Damn, I usually put my dates on it. Oh, November 18th, 2019. It's really no title. I don't put no titles. Ain't no U.S. without us. So-called niggas, Negroes, niggas, royalty enslaved, trading crowns for Jesus. Ancestors' bodies paving the way only to be brushed under a white face because it's easier to trust. What I mean is Garrett Morgan, do your Googles, an inventor of the traffic stop, gas masks, and other machines, had to have a white man sell his items so his inventions can be taken seriously. Sounds obscene, but he risked being killed because he was an intelligent black man guilty of following his dreams. I learned about him when I was 17, around the same time I learned the details of Dr. King's dream. It was more than just black and white children playing symbolically.
creating an integrated drink being gulped down by Americans, leading them to believe that Obama would eradicate white folks' racist mentalities. It was about having a black cuisine. You know, cornbread with the black beans, soaked greens with the chitterlings, with the past and the future displaying this nation's inconsistencies, challenging us to rise up, and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men and women, and all folks who do not identify those ways, are created equally. King glancing at the future, demanding men be for us not to represent inclusive. Like Jesus, was interested in effecting transformative justice and is able to have dialogue with those that might not agree. In a world too often governed by arrogance and corruption, it could be difficult to stay true to one's philosophies. For every you and me, there's a Trayvon and Sandra B. All movement ain't progress. So I understand how we can be complacent thinking that civil rights did everything. Civil rights was just a step. It's 2019 and we have to step again. Continuing to step until oppressive systems are extinct. Continuing to step until white supremacy becomes obsolete. Continuing to step until we refuse to sleep because we're living in a king's dream. Truth is, King didn't get killed because he had a dream. He was gunned down because he woke up with a vision. No more superficial hope. We now need solid realism. King became a black radical, and after him, Shirley Chisholm, a woman with guts and ambition. And his teacher, Ella Baker, the backbone of the civil rights movement, who never wavered. It's okay to be fearful. Not everyone uses their voice to speak on their conditions. Your presence is enough. Your silence is not submission. We lead in different ways and protest in different editions. King taught me true allyship is when our own light shines, we inspire others to see the light come to fruition. So if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But keep moving forward until we complete our mission, having equity, equality, and justice for all. To be a black person in America is to be a burden in your own land, a refugee in your own land. When I hear roots, I hear to belong to something. And as black people, we don't belong to no place. Not Africa, not America. But we do belong to each other. Thank you.
All right, just FYI to all the speakers, if you walk with this microphone in front of that speaker, you will start to get some of that feedback that you heard. Please roam the stage with the mic in your hand. I would love to see all of the passion, but just don't put this mic in front of that speaker. Thank you to Torrent, Black Educator. I have gone through all kinds of school systems and just graduated this past May, and I have never once had a black male educator in my life. So thank you for doing that, brother. Brother Tay Anderson. Y'all welcome, Tay.
This is going to be real short. You've heard enough of me. I'm going to give you a couple quick bullet points. As we were sitting here, the ACLU of Colorado tweeted the following: where black and brown cage bodies are in cages in Denver jails. Breaking news, records reveal that Mayor Hancock and the Denver sheriffs and the Denver Department of Public Health and Safety collaborated to cover up the spike of coronavirus cases in the Denver jail.
That's right.
The mayor and sheriff must be held accountable for misleading the public and putting lives at risk. And so I wanted to share that with you so that you can put pressure on those city council members that like to wear Black Lives Matter shirt but vote the wrong way when Candy C. Tabaka comes up with a proposal to say, all right, cool, walk your talk. Also, because I was at a melanated mic night, I just want to be able to shout my brother out right here is I'm going to start becoming a proud Second Amendment Democrat.
Thank you.
Because we need to start knowing how to defend ourselves. This past couple weeks, y'all, have been rough for me. I've had death threats. I've had people at my house trying to get into my house. And so the only way I can defend myself is by standing my ground. And so I encourage you to do so as well. As a responsible, safe, and legal gun owner, I encourage you to practice your Second Amendment. Don't go out and be crazy with it, because then that's how stuff happens. I will say that when it's needed to be used, it's part of your constitutional amendments. But I wouldn't have been able to see that if I wasn't sitting in one of these Melanated Mike sessions and listening to my brother over here educating us around the need of being able to secure ourselves. And also I owe you an apology too, because some of you were out there this summer and y'all was fucking shit up. And I said, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. And I called you out. And as a leader, as an elected leader, I want to be able to stand before you today and say I'm sorry. Because I too was in that bubble of looking at a window being more valuable than a black life. But then I came to the realization that you can't bring back Elijah McClain or Breonna Taylor with no matter how many millions of dollars you raise for them, they'll never be in their homes again. And so if they didn't listen, when we peacefully took the streets, now you have their ear because the window broke. Now we need to be able to go push our elected officials to do real change. And that's what we have in Candy C. Tobacco. We're actually sitting in her district right now as she's in city council fighting for us. Oh shit, she's right here. Councilwoman, come up and join me. I'm up here talking all these high praises and she's down with the people. Give it up for Councilwoman Candy C. Tobacco, y'all.
I don't have nothing to say. I just came over here from City Council. You guys are on my way home, and I was proud, and I saw you guys still here, and I wanted to come be in solidarity. You know, every day I go to war. I go to war for what our people are asking for what our community is asking for. Not what is politically expedient, not what is convenient, but what we're asking for and have been asking for generations. And Tay's not lying. Like, the minute we get in these seats and start representing the people, it's a whole new level of danger. It's a whole new level. Not only from the people who don't like what you're saying, the regular everyday citizens, but we can't just call the cops and expect the same protection that other elected officials like us have. No, the media paints us as us against the cops because we're here to dismantle a system. You put us in these seats to dismantle a system that has harmed us for generations. So thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for not letting anyone tone police you or tell you how to exercise your constitutional rights, because that is what they are. They're your rights, and you can use them however you choose, and I plan to stand in solidarity with you as you do exercise those rights. So thank you.
Thank y'all both. Okay, so I know I spoke to some black women. Yes. Black women, please come speak. You, young lady. Thank you.
Oh my God. Okay. Oh my God, I'm so shy. I'm really glad that Tay Anderson said that. Perfect timing. In case it hasn't already been made clear to you, Mayor Hancock ain't shit. He ain't shit. He may as well have been a white man. He may as well have been wearing a Klan hat, a little Klan mattress cover, whatever the fuck it is they wear. To be crystal clear, black faces in high places mean nothing. When the black faces in question are hiding up arrests, when they're telling us that they're gonna bring in the US attorney to charge and trump up charges against protesters, they ain't shit. Fuck a blackface. The blackface means nothing if it's peddling white supremacist talking points. It's nothing. It's nothing. On that same note, I think that this is a growing pattern that we see, that people just seem to flock to the black Democrat. We saw it in Chicago, Lori Lightfoot, Chicago's mayor. If Despicable had a face, it would be her. I mean, it's truly something else. We elected her because she's a black lesbian mayor, black woman. She just looked the part. She was supposed to be Chicago's, new page. She's done nothing. Never mind not doing anything. She's pushed Chicago into just the worst. On Saturday, we saw violence in downtown Denver, and just like Tay Anderson said, we've been asking for the police to be defunded for months now, and when they don't give that to us, but we're also peacefully protesting, and a Jeep drives through us on I-225, and they do nothing to help us, and they tell us, why were you on the highway? Why were you this? They blackballed Colin Kaepernick out of his career for kneeling onto his knee. They don't want us to rap about it. They don't want us breaking windows. They don't want us on the highway. Petitions do nothing. Voting brings in more Lori Lightfoots and Mayor Hancocks. What do we do? I'm out of answers. I don't know what to do. How do we do this correctly? How do we do this so that U.S. attorneys aren't called and federal charges are brought against people for just wanting to live? Truly, it's exhausting. I just don't know what way we're supposed to do this. So unless we all come together and have an answer as to how we're supposed to do this so that we're not all sitting in prison with decades and decades of sentences, the last thing anyone should be doing here is peace policing anybody. Kill the cop in your mind. You see somebody break a window, you see somebody set a building on fire, yeah, that's wrong, but why are they doing it? Did you address the anger? Did you think someone just took a rock and threw it through a window because they wanted to? Did you even take the time to address the anger? Elijah McClain has been murdered and dead now for a year. Jacob was murdered on the 1-year anniversary of his death, of Elijah's death. We found that out yesterday as we were chanting no more names. That heartache is unbelievable. To not even address that anger, to then get mad at the people in Jacob City, in Wisconsin, in Milwaukee, I believe. To bring charges against them, to dox them, to call it rioting, this, and that. What are they supposed to do? What do you want us to do at this point? What's the right way to go about this? And in short, there is no right way. Stop telling the oppressor, stop having the oppressor tell you how to protest the shit that they put you through. Stop. Kill the cop in your mind. That can't be repeated enough. Kill the cop in your mind. We touched briefly on, several of the speakers before me touched briefly on performative allyship. And yeah, you have the Black Lives Matter sign on your yard. You're here sitting with us. Like, that's great. You protest with us. You defend us with your life. That's great. But are you still calling the cops? Do you still call the cops on your neighbor? Do your kids go to private school? Are you, oh yeah, Black Lives Matter, but they threw a rock through the window, so I don't know. Oh, they're defunding the budget, I don't know. Like, do you want this? Do you want this as bad as you say you want it? Do Black lives globally matter to you? Are you invested in the Black struggle globally? Do you understand that what the U.S. police do here, the military does abroad? Are you committed to this all the way? Do you want it for Black lives globally or not? I'm already very uncomfortable, so I'm gonna wrap this up. I just think that there's a long way for us to go. If we see a Black man get shot 7 times in front of his kids and we still have certain people saying shit like, he should have complied, or, oh, why was he reaching into his car? Oh, why are his kids there? Why did he walk away? There's still work to be done. And it's not over. It's my favorite sentence. I can't say it enough. Kill the cop in your mind. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any Black women that have not spoken at a melanated Mike Night event that would like to speak? Anyone? All right, give it up.
Hi. I'm nervous too. Yeah. So hearing about this last night, people in different group chats bringing up what was happening in Kenosha. I started spiraling as a Black person. This is really triggering to keep hearing about this. And to see people share these videos like it's torture porn, and when they are killed, it's snuff films. And I think, first of all, do not share these videos. I would just like to say that to everyone here. We understand what it is. I believe someone when they say a cop shot someone 7 times in the back. I don't have to see it. Like, yeah, don't share that shit. Okay, so I was gonna say a lot of different things. Basically speaking on intersectionality, I am a non-binary woman. My pronouns are she, her, they, them. And honestly, this whole movement actually made me come out. I've never come out. Like, I don't think people need to come out, but like, I felt the need to when I kept advocating for Black trans lives and I kept getting violated by people in my community and people outside the community. I can name so many instances of me holding my sign where people said I'm co-opting a movement that Black trans women fucking started. Now I'm not talking about Black Lives Matter. This started decades ago. This started a long time ago. So pay respect to those people. Today is Marsha P. Johnson's birthday. You know what I mean? Like, happy birthday to her. I love her. She's my mother, my other mother. But we also need to include the addicts. My older brother died in 2016. He committed suicide. He overdosed on heroin. And even the people in his own family weren't enough for him. You know what I mean? We didn't support him because we didn't understand. There's a lot of anger and stuff there. But yeah, you got to care for the people in the lowest positions, the most marginalized, the addicts, the unhoused. He was unhoused for a minute. We didn't even know. His own family didn't even know. Then my other brother, he died a couple years later. The fucking doctors killed him. We all talk about police brutality. What about hospital brutality? What about all the doctors killing Black women in labor, killing them, or making the choice of saving the kid over her, or all these other things? Let's talk about fucking sterilization in hospitals. Let's talk about everything. What else was I gonna say? I have a lot of things to say. Oh, I mean, everyone said it, but Mayor Hancock and Murphy Robinson are coons. I don't fucking respect them at all. The shit they said this weekend was ridiculous. I don't know if people are aware, but they fucking said they're gonna, like, he's literally gonna encourage DPD to totally disregard the judge's order after that fucking civil lawsuit that took like a whole ass like month and a bunch of people reliving their trauma to even like fucking have any like justice brought. He's just like, you know what, no, out the window. And on top of that, we're not gonna have a limit on how many people can be held in a jail during a fucking health pandemic. Like, this is so disgusting. And for all the people who are still like on the fence, if they're for these protesters who are protesting differently than y'all would, AKA the rioters, the anarchists, blah, blah, blah. This same week, Monday, I mean, I know Candy knows, Candy was there, but like, everyone tried to do it the peaceful way, like for months, like people have said before, like for years, honestly, for decades again, but like, how are you gonna gaslight and tone police communities so fucking hard, have racist rhetoric? Sandoval fixed her mouth to say black on black, brown on brown crime during as a reason for why we as like people don't have the right to vote on a bill, the right to vote. This wasn't gonna automatically pass it. We don't have the fucking right to vote on it because of your racist like narratives that you've been perpetuating, whatever. It's fucked up. And on okay, I have a lot more to say. I didn't write anything down. I'm trying to think because my mind's everywhere because again, I'm spiraling right now. I'm fucked up. I hold myself up, I compose myself up. I've had a whole life to practice it. This isn't the first time I've had to go through this. I'm trying to think. Oh, I wanted to bring up this story because it is relevant. So I am a bit of a poet, a bit of a writer. I'm not going to share any of that tonight, but like I tried to a couple summers ago. I went to the Casbah, I don't even know how to pronounce it, in Aurora at an open mic where I had some beautiful poetry. It was more of an invitation to my LGBTQ Black family to try to start a circle to create art, right? And I get off stage, everyone's cheering for me, and the host, who's a comedian, a Black man, he asked me to do some more, you know, because they're getting money selling drinks and having people pay entry for the artists who are up there. And they were pretty short on artists that night. And I was like, no thanks, I'm just chilling. And as soon as I say no thanks, he goes up and he says the most transphobic bullshit I've ever heard. And he calls it a joke. He says like, you know, that whole like, that thing where like a man gets tricked into dating or fucking or marrying a trans woman. And when he finds out how deceitful they were. It's justified. Him murdering her is somehow justified. And then I heard it again with Lil Duval on the fucking, what's that thing with Charlemagne the God, the podcast or the radio show. It's said so many times, and for people to think that's a joke, that's, okay, first of all, even if that was like a joke and not like hate speech or violence, that's like down here. That's like the lowest tier of comedy. Like, do better, but also don't fucking clap and laugh at those kind of jokes. Like, y'all need to check that when you see it happening. Again, like I said, when I was at protest with my Black Trans Lives Matter sign, for me to be walking around and for niggas to be like, what you got? Referring to my genitalia, that's a T slur, that's an F slur, that's a D slur. Hearing people call the cops the F slur, the D slur, the T slur, and for me to have to turn around and say, do better, don't fucking say that. Like, you have your fucking LGBT